I believe in having a voice, and I think when you do it your way, you can have it your way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the most positive sense. I'm not saying be like a tyrant. Everything is just what you think it is.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so I think like for me, am I supposed to look at the camera?
I like that hair flip though.
Okay, it's my eyes. I think for me, for one, there's a passion, and I think like having an experience where, you know, I'm working a lot on other people's projects or other people's like definition of art and creativity, but always feeling like, you know, where do I fully express myself? I think the whole learning process of just the business aspect, the creative aspect, as a creative, like, is right up my alley.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, why not?
Yeah.
I think it brings in different voices.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it represents the common person.
Mm-hmm. For me, that's really important. That, to me, is worth the investment. Just to create something meaningful, create something that matters, create something that I can connect to, articulate a legacy that can be passed down.
Right.
I think there are a lot of things that, even in the first couple of months of being a fully formed production company, that's stood out to me as striking and rewarding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. When you said legacy, it made me just think about how it's so much bigger than just two people. I think it's a community.
From the beginning, like all the projects that we've talked about and we've started to build and grow and knit together have been first about the vision. What do we want to see? What do we want to create? What impact do we want? And I think community is a huge part of that, because we think about this tagline, create community. It's not as if we're creating something out of thin air, but we are purposeful about projects that knit together and respect and honor and reveal the connections that are already there, or might be kind of fragmented, or might be waning. We want to be excellent, and we know that the story is worth telling, and that's a primary goal. And then we want to share that and market that as much as we can to reveal the value.
You know, I think with just I2, interviewing these black men, it's like, that's literally you creating a significant narrative in history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when I think of I2, this project, it's something. I mean, we are creating an archive that doesn't exist. I mean, we're creating something, voices tying together memories and perspectives that don't exist. And I think that that's a beautiful thing, to be able to say, well, you know, before there was a void, you know, and now where that void was, something stands. And I love that about this project, and I love what we learned from this project, and I love the connections that we make to the men we interview. Like, that's it, you know. Right. It's almost like that's the goal, but then there's other things that come out of it that are also wonderful and lovely. And so that's, to me, a huge blessing and something I'm really grateful for, outside of, you know, an outcropping and outpouring of this project that I see.
It's important to give them that platform. Like, I know as far as like the experience has been like, wow, it is bigger than us in terms of like culture, like you said the other day, having that documented. Something, like you said, there was a void, and now we're filling that not filling it, but there's something standing in that void now. I think it's only the beginning of something.
Right, yeah.
And then you just see the narrative that's already been spoken about black men. And it's so, when the first image you see, I mean, if you Google that, the first image you see is not going to be kind.
Right. I would love for this to stand alongside 100 more like this.
Right.
You know, I mean,
yeah, because we're only covering California and Florida.
Yeah.
And that's a small space within the 2 states.
Right. And even mostly, I would say we'll probably do Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right.
like, and so I don't even think that that's very different than Northern California. And so I think that even our scope is so narrow in particular that there's a lot more to be done in that regard.
Yeah, so I believe KayJo would be that, a starter of many things. Mm-hmm. I'm going to treat your project like it's my project. Like I said earlier, I'm very particular, attention to detail. We listen. Mm-hmm. It's not just, let me take your idea and make it my own. You know, we want to serve you. Mm-hmm. There's a huge servant aspect about KayJo. Mm-hmm. So there's a gentleness, but also we'll work really hard. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a tenacity and endurance to deliver a product of the excellent quality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.